Welcome to episode 21 of Concise Game Reviews. I'm your host, Rallycar Delta, and today's review features Clair Obscur Expedition 33, developed by Sandfall Interactive and published by Kepler Interactive. Please note, during this review, I'll simply refer to the game as Expedition 33. Speaking of the game, you can find it on almost every major platform except Nintendo Switch. In case you're curious, I played the Xbox Series X version of the game. Now, on with the review. At its core, Expedition 33 is a turn-based RPG, similar in mechanical structure to RPGs such as Final Fantasy X or perhaps a few of the Persona games. The colloquial term for this style is often referred to as JRPG, but it should be noted that Expedition 33's visual design is reflective of European influence, considering Sandfall Interactive is based out of France. To be clear, though, Expedition 33 is solidly a fantasy RPG that focuses on storytelling, character development, and the mechanics of the combat system. It is anything but realistic, and it's not trying to be. As for the game itself, I'd like to focus on two areas in particular: the combat system and the game world. On the surface, it looks like the typical turn-based action system with friends and foes each taking a turn to attack their selected opponent. Similar to most fantasy RPGs, each character in the party brings a unique set of skills and abilities to the battlefield. Additionally, every main character in the game can be equipped with weapons and various secondary attributes. As usual with this type of game, there are better choices than others, but for the most part, the player is free to construct their characters as they so desire. The big component of the game that truly sets it apart from other turn-based role-playing games is the real-time reaction system. During enemy sequences, the player can dodge or block enemy actions as they happen. This isn't full control, mind you, it's a simple press of a button, but it adds a tactical layer to the combat that typically isn't available in a turn-based game. However, be advised that dodging and blocking is not really an optional part of the game. There is an underlying expectation you will be using it, and some fights basically require it. This might be a turnoff for people that expect a purely turn-based system. I thought it was fantastic personally, but I can see how it might not be for everyone. The last point I want to touch on is the game world, and along with that, the story. Being a fantasy game, you need to accept that the fictional game world is an engine to tell a fantastical tale. As I mentioned before, the game isn't trying to tell you a story grounded in reality. It doesn't care about the laws of physics. As the story unfolds, you quickly realize you are in for a character narrative, with most of the game focusing on the people in your adventuring party. While the game world is obviously fantasy, the way people speak to each other feels natural and believable. It's refreshing to play a game where the characters sound like they are in a real conversation. Regardless, besides the story, I am pleased to report the game world itself is a visual feast, with interesting environments, highly detailed enemies, and an overall interesting aesthetic that constantly tugs at the player to ask questions about the truth of their situation. If there are any weaknesses to the game, they are mostly contained to the somewhat stiff character animations and broader limitations of the development team. While it looks the part, Expedition 33 is not a $200 million title with 300 developers. This is a game built on a controlled budget, and if you look hard enough, you can see how the developers constrain their cost and scope. That's perfectly acceptable to me, and personally, I believe more games should shoot for a smaller budget, but there are obvious limitations to keeping the scope in check. Overall, I highly recommend Expedition 33, especially if you are in the market for a character-driven RPG experience that echoes the design philosophy of the classic turn-based RPGs. The story is excellent, the combat system is excellent, the game world is excellent. If this sounds like the game for you, go check it out. This is Rallycar Delta, signing out.